Fame, and this is a brand new experience for the PlayStation Network that we're really pleased to share with you today. Now, the Hall of Fame is a place where you can customize your physical environment to represent the trophies that you have been given by achieving certain milestones in PlayStation 3 titles. You decide which trophy you want to position in the premium cabinets, and you can share this with your friends. You can invite your friends into your Hall of Fame. They can see which trophies you've won for which games and how skilled you are.
Oh, sweet. I can't wait to try that on my PS3. That looks so cool. So where the fuck is it then?
I gotta make sure I pop that one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
So for those of you who don't know, or just those that barely remember it, PlayStation Home was a virtual 3D social gaming platform created by Sony's London studio for the PlayStation 3, which launched in December 2008 and was active all the way up until 2015, with around 41 million members at the time of its closure. PlayStation Home was a free app that you could launch via the PS3 menu, and it would take you into a 3D virtual world where you would find yourself inside your apartment, and it's here where you could customise the look of your avatar, as well as decorate your apartment with different furniture and other items. The idea was that each PS3 user lived inside of Home, and this was a 3D space where you could explore and meet other PS3 users and socially interact with friends via the in-game chat, either a keyboard or a headset, or by just hanging out in Home and playing pool or going bowling with your mates in one of the many mini-games that Home featured. The initial idea was that Home would replace the XMB, so when you launched the PS3, you would instantly be inside of Home in your apartment, with Home allowing you to then launch into a game from inside it, either for solo or co-op play with friends. It was all very ambitious and perhaps a bit ahead of its time, though admittedly it did all sound kinda neat, but the one thing that caught my attention when watching the E3 reveal for Home was this.
And our Hall of Fame, which will allow users to collect animated 3D trophies for public and private display.
Now, I don't know about you, but to a trophy hunter like myself, that sounds awesome. So today I'm going to talk about the untapped potential of PlayStation Home's Trophy Hall of Fame. This is what the Hall of Fame may have ended up looking like. It's a 3D environment that you can interact with and walk around, and you get to populate it with whichever trophies you have unlocked in the games that you own. So each person's Hall of Fame was going to be customised and unique to that specific user. You could even share these Hall of Fames with your friends, inviting people on your friends list to come and visit your Hall of Fame, allowing you to then show off those tough and hard to get trophies. The trophies themselves would have been unique 3D models and not just 3D versions of the gold, silver, bronze trophies that we have today. As you can see in the video, they kind of look like the old PS1 and PS2 save game icons that were in 3D. So we would get some really cool and unique models that relate to specific trophies instead of the duller 2D images that we have for games trophies nowadays. There was also code that would allow developers to give certain behaviours to some of the trophies, allowing them to be animated and such, which I think would have been really cool. Another nice feature is this 3D trophy browser, which happens to be in the centre of the Hall of Fame, allowing you to navigate through your trophy list basically, looking at all of the 3D models of all the trophies you have in that game, as well as a 3D rendition of the game's box art in a case, which I think is quite neat. That is essentially your trophy list in 3D, allowing you to explore and look at them and get right up close to each trophy. The Hall of Fame was also built with the future in mind, allowing for further expansion as more games came out. And as you can see here, as we look over this balcony, you can see the vault, which would eventually contain every single PS3 game. Holy shit, that is intense, and it reminds me of that area in Star Wars Episode 1 when they're all talking about politics. I can't remember what this room's called, but yeah, imagine that room, but each one of those things in the background is for a new PlayStation 3 game containing all of its trophies. Man, that is so cool. Just look at them all. Look at the potential of thousands of games within this hub that you can access. Imagine what the Hall of Fame would look like now, having had the PS3 gen, the Vita, the PS4 gen, and now PS5, all with trophy support. For me, trophies are a big part of my PlayStation history, and even though they only started with the PS3, they still cover the majority of my PlayStation career, so to speak. Trophies and this Hall of Fame would have been like a PlayStation gamer's passport in a way, allowing you to look back at all the treasures you've found, worlds you've saved, races you've won, and bosses you defeated. Every hard platinum earned and trophy unlocked would all be here in your PlayStation gamer's logbook, and imagine how cool and awesome the Hall of Fame would be now after all these years. I'd picture the Hall of Fame being like that Michael trailer from the PS3 console, where various PlayStation characters are all in a bar talking about the great adventures they've been on and how they survived thanks to the heroics of their player Michael. The Hall of Fame would be like an interactive version of that, where you see all the games you've earned trophies in, allowing you to freely walk through an interactive 3D environment, looking at all the games you've played and all of your history with PlayStation. I'd imagine nowadays the Hall of Fame would have evolved into a free app that is automatically installed onto all PlayStation systems, allowing you to use it or leave it as you wish. I'd love it to have a map editor allowing you to fully customise the layout of your Hall of Fame, so you could create dedicated rooms for your favourite franchises, or maybe even separate areas off into console specific rooms, so there could be a PS3 wing, a PS4 wing, and so on. You could also buy items to decorate the Hall of Fame. Imagine when you earn trophies in a game, you would also earn trophy credits within the Hall of Fame app, which you could then use to buy unique items. Or maybe specific trophies unlocked in a game also unlock unique items themed around that game in the Hall of Fame. So for example, an Uncharted Platinum might earn you a 3D model of that treasure from that specific game that Nate's going after, which you can then place within the Hall of Fame. Now, I know you're probably thinking I'm getting a bit too carried away here with all these ideas, but it's important to remember just how big Home got as it expanded throughout the years, as it did introduce a lot of unique game-themed areas for you to go and visit. Like this one here, to promote the release of Resident Evil 5, they recreated the opening area in Africa at the start of the game, though here it was built like a movie studio set, allowing you to wander around and find loads of little secrets behind the scenes, including directors' chairs. You could also interact with people here, so there was quite a bit to it. So I don't think a game-themed room to hold all of your Ratchet & Clank series Platinum trophies is far-fetched, really. I think first-party games could have really took advantage of the Hall of Fame. There could have been like an Uncharted jungle room that you could get, where you could put all of your trophies in it and decorate it how you wish. You could have had these like plinths that were themed to the game to stick your trophies on top of, as well as at the front of them you would get the trophy icon emblem and the trophy itself on the top of the plinth, and when you interacted with them it would bring up a screenshot or a video showing you the moment that trophy was unlocked. Going back to the earlier idea, perhaps when unlocking certain trophies, you get to place a 3D model of Nathan Drake into your Uncharted room, or maybe he just appears by specific trophies in the room that are hard, like the crushing difficulty ones. The devs could also go a step further by having the voice actors record Hall of Fame specific lines of dialogue. So for example, if you beat Crushing with just a handful of deaths, Drake would remark at how impressed he was as you made it look easy. Again, tying back into that Michael trailer where all the heroes praise their player. If you struggled with it, it'd say something different, like you pulled through in the end or something. And yes, Home also actually did have things like this within it. You could go up to characters within the worlds and talk to them, and admittedly it was more primitive with just text prompts popping up on screen, but I think nowadays this could have really expanded into something really cool. I mean, just imagine getting praise from some of the characters you've played as.
When half the city hated me and the other half wanted me dead, he brought out my good side.
So fucking cool. And just being able to expand your Hall of Fame and build it how you want, I just think would be a really neat idea if they were to ever bring this back and do it again nowadays. Imagine unlocking a Kratos throne room, allowing you to place him on the throne in the corner of your room next to your platinum trophy, which you could look at in 3D, and also trigger a screen to come up to show you the screenshot and video of the moments when you finally unlocked it. I just think that would just be so fucking cool and just really special and a unique thing for this console and PlayStation to have, and for each gamer to experience their own Hall of Fame. I think the possibilities for this would be endless, especially nowadays, and if this was a service that had carried on throughout the years, it could be just so impressive nowadays. I mean, even looking back at some of the early things that PlayStation Home did, like the Uncharted Sully's Bar, it still shows you a lot of promise for what could have been with this Hall of Fame. Now, this Uncharted area, it wasn't that great. It was just a bar that you could walk around. You would see photos of the characters on the walls, but you could also look at an artifact viewer to look at all the treasures that you find within the game, showing you 3D models of those there. So that could easily be the 3D models of all the trophies that you've collected and things you've unlocked. It was all there, just ready and waiting to be used, but they just never did, which is really frustrating. I mean, I look back at this trailer for the Hall of Fame now, and I just think, man, what an absolute shame that we never got this, because it just would have been so cool. Imagine having a Uncharted room in your Hall of Fame, and then at the end of this jungle looking area you have a room that leads into the God of War room, or whatever else the games you've got in your trophy list are, and you could just walk around and look at all of these and just look back and reminisce on all of these tough challenges that you've beaten. To me, that would have just been really special, and I always go back to that Michael trailer and just how cool that was, to just have a cooler idea that it actually was, to see all of these video game characters from different franchises just getting together and talking about this hero, this ordinary kid called Michael that just happened to be their player character. I talked earlier how I thought that trophies were kind of like a gamer's passport, that it would be a check mark of what you've achieved within all of the games that you've played through your gaming career. And I just think having this like 3D environment that you could just walk through and pick up a trophy, take a look at it, and think back to when you got it, looking at like a screenshot or a video, or just the 3D model of the trophy, would have been really cool. But unfortunately, to my knowledge, the Hall of Fame never actually came out for home, and that is a crying shame. But thankfully, some bits of the Hall of Fame did survive. Like, for example, they talk about having screenshots or video clips from the moments you unlocked those trophies, and that is something that we have today. Since PS4, we've been able to have screenshots, and since PS5, it will also record video clips of those trophies unlocking, but it's still not quite the same as having the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, as I think that would have just made it that little bit more special. So, for those of you who do actually remember PlayStation Home and did manage to play it when it came out on the PS3, you will probably remember PlayStation Home for its extremely, and I mean extremely, long loading times, because this thing took an absolute age to load into anything, so it's not a surprise that they never actually made this replace the XMB, because you wouldn't get anywhere. There was also the problem with queuing up for minigames like pool and bowling, because when it spawned you into a room with 100 users, there was only like 2 bowling alleys and you had to queue up and wait your turn to get on it. But perhaps you remember it a bit more fondly for all of the friends and social interactions you had with Home. But for me, whenever I look back and remember PlayStation Home, I always sit there and think and wonder what could have been if only we had gotten that PlayStation Trophy Hall of Fame.